What's going on, everybody? Prophecy Wiz, and we are back at it again with yet another video. Really sorry to everybody for the wait. The videos coming out are going to be every other day, starting from now on. I had went to the NAWCQ and didn't want to give away the combos before NAWCQ, even though they absolutely are going to be coming any day now. And yeah, I wanted to play that out, and then I ended up getting super sick at Nats, so I came home, took a few days off. I even took an extra few days off of work because I was just super sick. But I wanted to give you guys an updated profile from the NAWCQ. So just a little precursor, I guess, give you guys like the rundown of the weekend. I went down on Thursday with Hanko. We played in a double box tournament. I went 5 wins and 1 draw, and so I finished top 4. And then Saturday we went back to the same shop. They had a case tournament, and I went completely undefeated and won the case tournament on Friday. So Thursday top 4 double box tournament. Friday I won a case tournament with this deck, exactly first place, undefeated. And I obviously played the same list on Saturday. I started 7-1. Unfortunately, finished day 1 7-2. Did make day 2. Lost out in the second round of day 2. So I just decided to drop and just play sides, watch, because I just wasn't about to make. I don't think I was going to make it. So that being said, I had a really good experience. I thought the deck was really good. Once I did drop on Sunday, I watched for a little while, played in a regional flight event, immediately won that. So we got our invite for Nats again. Came home, won locals, played all, Fiendsmith, Snake Eye, and Ubel. Just the deck's just insane. So for anybody who's thinking about playing it, I definitely would suggest playing it. I've been grinding it. Played double regionals last weekend. Went X2 in both, but I was trying out some different stuff. This is a bit better, but I'm going to try to push the boundaries a little bit more with some of the side deck stuff. So I'm just testing out some different combinations there because it's the time to do it right in the off season. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So to nobody's surprise, we played 3 copies of Low. Heart and Soul of the deck, can't play it without. Picked up some QCRs at NAWCQ before I won the case tournament, so that was cool. Then I picked it up and then won with them. So then we played 3 copies of Diviner and Trias. Don't cut this and play Prosperity. Diviner's just better. Diviner and Trias is absolutely insane. And it sets up IP Masquerena, which is super important for this deck, which I'll explain a little bit later when I get to the extra deck. But Diviner's a very key, essential piece to this deck, so you need to play it. Then we played, and we also picked up the QCRs of the Diviner as well, of course. Then 3 copies of Saphira. This card's just better pre-prep. It's insane. If you have any deeper questions about this Diviner or Low, it's in a detailed profile that I did last week, so definitely check that out if you haven't seen that. I did a 50-minute video, so it's going to be a little bit shorter, but still going to go in depth because I think that's one of the things I bring to the table with doing deck profiles. Saphira, definitely need to play it. Like I said, better pre-prep. It's insane. When I do side deck, I cut it down to 2 copies. That's because of one of the cards in my side deck you'll see. And if you want to see a side decking pattern video, because I think my side decking is unlike anything else anybody else does with this deck, please let me know in the comment section so I know that there is value to me making that and people do want to see it. Then we played 2 Skill Guardian. It comes up so... I mean, there's just endless. I don't really know, shouldn't need to explain this. You could never play 1. You wouldn't play 2. Or you wouldn't play 3 because it just doesn't make any sense. You don't even need 3 if you know what you're doing. You just recycle it. And oftentimes you need 2 to attack for 8,000. If you happen to get 1 removed, you obviously need the second one in the deck. So very important to play 2. Don't play less. I played the 1 Saravis still. 1 was still really good. I used it for the targeting effect, used it for its secondary effect, etc. Saphira adds back from the graveyard. You can shuffle it back with Dynamundo. You have the trap card shuffles it back. There's just like endless ways to get this back into the deck. So if you know what you're doing, one is more than plenty. I summoned it mad times. It was insane when I summoned it, and it was insane when I used it for targeting protection. Like round 1 at NAWCQ, I summoned it, negated a summon of an access code talker, and then my opponent tried to use the princess line with the Atlantis. He booked my stuff, used the princess. I just negated it because it's now in the hand, and he was very surprised with that, and that was just game ending. So super good. And then we played our friend the Pendulum Graph. I still think that this deck is like, you just wouldn't play it without the Pendulum Graph. It's just one Omni Negate is not good enough against the decks that like don't play spells, and like a lot of decks just aren't inherent summoning, so this card just like does nothing against them, where this card is like an Egyptian God card. It's so good. Like against something like Tempai, that's just like, game breaking. So 4 is correct. Make sure you play 4. 3 barrier. I've explained this before. This is the reason why you would play this deck over something like Snake Eyes that has more 1-card starters. They have more cards that are 1-card starters, but if you're hand trap warring with them that like you are going second, I think this deck plays past hand trapped better. And then when you go second, you have 22 hand traps in the deck against Snake Eye. Get side into 22 hand traps, so you have less starters. But barrier, like unless they have exactly Ogre to deal with the barrier, they have to deal with the barrier and Ash it. And then next turn, they have to deal with my top deck and barrier again, which just makes it insane. Barrier gets to this. This lets you summon on your opponent's turn and activate this. So, yeah, just play the 5 and don't play anything else, please. 2 ritual spell. 2 is perfect. Don't play 3. You don't really want to draw it. I really play 2 partially because I play pre-prep. Spoiler. Card's insane, but it's insane in your deck. It's insane to dump a Saphira and search off free prep, but you need 2. But like when I go second, I side out 1 copy. So like I said, if you want to see those patterns and such, I will show you and explain. So leave that in the comments. Then we play the best card in the deck. Triple copies of Nadir Servant. That'd be Slayer Prime Maximus. This is really important to make sure that you're playing this deck. The reason that this is super important is it's your spell and trap removal. So if you don't have to play spell and trap removal if you're like playing this, because the trap is really good in the spell and trap, and then also Skill Guardian is really good in the spell and trap. Like I played against one lab and like he was like threatened by the trap card, and once I realized like he doesn't have skill drain, like I can pop up the trap card, but I ended up summoning a low out of the deck. Normal summoning a copy of Mourner because it wasn't going to be very good on my turn, and then I synchro summoned into Herald, and then like I have like Skill Guardian Herald's like 2 negates here, and then like on his next turn I have like Skill Guardian and the trap, so it was just game. It's pretty good. This card I outed. I played 1 round. I played some weird Sprite deck, and this is at the day 1 NAWCQ. I think I was like 5-1, and I played against a Sprite deck that was setting up Arcor Christia. So like I Valored his Gigantic, and then he summoned a Mannequin Cat, summoned Arcor Christia out of his deck, and then I go to my turn, think for a while, use pre-prep, normal summon low effect, and then he chains his red, and then I just go Nadir, dump and Tisk, pop his Christia, search this, summon this. He summons back Christia, I activate this effect, send second and Tisk, pop the Christia, and I actually just cracked the entire board. It was insane. He had huge board, and I just like played right through with Engine because the Engine is crazy. This is insane into any kind of back row, especially if you stop your opponent on a half board and they like set a few cards. If you just have this is game breaking. You just immediately win the entire duel. It's a guarantee. So definitely make sure you play that. For all the people that I know are gonna say, "Aren't you worried about Droll with this card?" Not. If you know how to play around Droll, you know I can post a combo video, but there are like quite a few combos that you could do that just like your opponent doesn't have a window to Droll until you have an Omni to get in the field. So let me know if you want to see those. Triple copies of pre-prep. This card is also really good. Definitely need to play pre-prep. Played it the last time. Played it again. One of the most important things. So like an important thing right now too is like people are playing a lot of Bystials. So you would love to start with like a pre-prep and like have a low so that you can, like, Saphira or pre-prep, so that you can summon Skull Guardian and send low, and then low 1 Guardian 2, so if they chain the Bitsteel and hit the low, you can search another low off the Skull Guardian and normal summon it, and just doesn't really matter, because if it's, you know, if it's the blue one, then they can't target your special summon stuff, so it, like, doesn't matter. And yeah, you just, like, play through. Another important way, like, reason for this card is, like, to play through Shifter. You can't Saphira under Shifter. You could send Saphira, and the original spell under Shifter won't search. But if you have this under Shifter, and any way to get to any ritual monster at all, anything tributable, low, anything like that, barrier, you just still just do the entire combo, because you send a thing, summon Guardian for low, low for barrier, barrier for trap. Nice knowing you, like, under the Shifter, and you play a lot of hand traps that are good into Shifter. And for the non-engine, Old Faithful, Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom's really good into every deck. The hand traps that I play are going to be better if you play a lot and you make sure that you can utilize them at the appropriate times when you draw them in specific ratios together, right? Like, you have to understand, like, how your hand's going to be able to play with them correctly, but not going to really say much about Ash. I mean, it's insane. Mourner. Mourner's, like, the fourth most generic. We played 12 hand trap. Mourner was really good. I mean, it burns in time, which is funny, but I never went into time because the deck's just good and doesn't need to do that, which is a merit of playing this deck. I know you guys have seen probably at this point all the the WCQs, the Euros, and all the good stuff, and there's a lot of time situations. This deck doesn't need to go into time when you need to be able to play fast, but it's yeah, it's really good, and that's also what's helpful about playing on hand traps if they're sighting. So this card was good. It lined up with something important against every deck. You know, if they summon, this can line up with, like, Sequentia. It can obviously line up with Witch, which is really good. And then if they OSS, it can, like, line up with the summon off that. Against Yubel, it lines up with the it can line up with, like, Spirit if you don't have a way of interacting with the Lotus, and then it also lines up with Yama, so it's really good, actually. Then we played the other generic ones. Valor. This is the only card that I played in the main deck that was, like, the only hand trap that was not good into Shifter, but it's not once per turn, so we played it because if you draw, like, 2 hand traps, you can a decent amount stop your opponent, or at least stop them from enough that you could just play, especially if you have something like Nadir. So played that, and then the obvious card, Imperm, best card. There was, like, a few times where I just, like, cracked an entire board with, like, this Nadir, because if they didn't set up Desiree, you could just, like, Imperm the Appaloosa, and then they have, like, Flameburge and the IP in the scale, and then you just, like, Nadir, send Tiss, target the thing in the scale, they could chain it, but it still just, like, pops on resolution, and then get the Maximus, summon the Maximus, and they get Princess here, but then that's their last interruption, and then you just go crazy and just win immediately. If they do Princess there, if they don't Princess there, then you just send another Intis, pop another card, and search Travis, which can negate the Princess in the graveyard. So Imperm was really good. That came up, and I won games cracking boards with, like, one hand trap that, like, I normal summon Snake Eye, they normal summon Snake Eye Ash, I pray on Imperm stopping it, and then they activate Bonfire, pop our entire combo, and we top deck into Imperm and actually just, like, win anyways. So that was cool. Then for we'll do the extra deck, I guess. Anima, Slurp, pretty good. Almirage and Gardena. These are really important, really strong. These are important for Maximus. You draw hand trapped, or you get hand trapped on your thing. You just, like, send low into him, send him into Gardena, and then banish this, summon Maximus effect, do the thing. So these were good. These also, I guess I'll give away one combo right now, but I promise you guys are going to want to see a combo video with this deck, because people are playing this deck just the wrong way. People are not playing this deck very good, and there's so much that this deck can do that people don't understand. So part of the so, like, one thing that you could do, like, if you open, like, Skull Guardian low, you can just, like, normal summon low, activate Blessings, send low into Almirage, activate Blessings to add back low, and then send the Almirage into Gardena, trigger the Blessings, and then you get to send the low from the hand, summon the Skull Guardian, and go low 1, Guardian 2, and then the low and the Guardian are in the field on the resolution of searching for Pendulum Graph, and then we, on our opponent's turn, or Cerevis, obviously if we know we're playing Snake Eye, we just Cerevis. And then our opponent's turn, we use Trigger the Blessing, summon the Cerevis, the Pendulum Graph, sending low, summon low back, low effect for trap, and then we have like all that under like Pastoral, where they just have no draw window. So that's pretty good. Please play them; they're important. 2 Dynamundo, it's important. Multiple copies came up. Multiple copies only really mostly come up if like you only open like low, or like you get hand trapped into not being able to have like all of the things, and then you want to send like low into Guardian to get this, to get the trap card as well, and then like you don't have another one mid game, and that is important. So you should be playing 2. I promise. I tried to get away with 1, and it stiffed me a few times. So I played IP, picked up a nice IP as well. This card's really important. So one of the combos I didn't want to give away was I guess I'll show this other card, was IP with Epalooza. So if you open like Diviner and like any starter like Saphira, Barrier, anything like that, you can set up the entire regular combo with the trap card and like make IP as well. So in those lines, you get to go like summon the Skull Guardian low trap card and IP as well. And then like there are just tons of combos where like if low is activating the trap card, the cool thing is you get to summon an additional body for free on your first turn. So that's like an additional body. That means you only just needed one more way to be able to play at all, and you could just summon this as well. So like there was like tons of times where like I played against decks and I did not open the Diviner, and we summoned IP with low trap and all the things as well. And it was crazy because we, on my opponent's turn, my opponent would go, I would go activate Skull Guardian to negate and destroy something, and my opponent would chain Droplet, sending 2, 1 for the IP, 1 for the Skull Guardian, to negate them, and then I would go chain the trap effect to search, or it searches or summons, but we're searching here, obviously. Then we go chain the IP, send the IP, the Skull Guardian, and the low all into an Epalooza. And then because they sent 2 cards, not just 1, the Epalooza is, they can't negate the Epalooza, so now the Skull Guardian resolved. The Epalooza's here, you get to search another copy of low, trigger a Blessings, summon like Pendulum Graph generally, and then sending low, and then you haven't triggered low yet, so you get to summon back low, and then low effect like whatever piece you were missing if you were missing any piece. And in that case scenario, you resolve the Skull Guardian. They took 3 cards out of their hand because of 2 cards and then the Droplet, and you have 3 negate Epalooza and a spell negate. So that happened like quite a few times where my my opponent like tried to Droplet, and then I just like chain and ended with 4 negate, like resolved 1 negate and then have 4 more negates. And when you have the Pendulum Graph and the low, they can't negate, they can't even attack the Epalooza, so like you're going to use all 3 negates on this. And it was just like game breaking, honestly. Like that was like a huge thing that I was not sure to give away like before Nats, because I thought it was a big deal. And throughout the weekend, the deck performed insane, and it was a big deal. So yeah, I thought this was really good. For the last level 2, I wanted to show that combo. Like I said, if you want to see more combos, I promise you I have some really good stuff. Like I'm not even scratching the surface in these videos. I also played SP Medium Knight. Picked up a nice one of these too. The SP, you summon like mostly on your turn. Like you could summon it off the IP in certain situations, but the SP you mostly summon on your turn, just banish card. Then we played Underworld Goddess. This is for any big untargetable thing, but this also comes up with the IP place. Like you summon IP, and If you had to open the crazy and you summon like Ceravis as well, you could like summon this if you want to. You could also just summon 40 Gate Appaloosa, right? But it came up once where I used my Skill Guardian, my opponent had to accept it, and he had the big level 12 YuGiOh monster on the field, and he goes activate talents to take, and I have IP Skill Guardian low, and I just chain the I chain the thing. I chain the IP. I don't even have to chain the trap there, and then we summon the Underworld Goddess using his guy, and then the talents can't resolve because the talents doesn't target, and this is unaffected. And then this was able to interact with his Fiendsmith combo so that he could not summon from the graveyard, and it just like stopped his play. So that was really good. And then like also we got to use the trap card to summon it later on the turn, and then like activate blessings and still just do that play as well. And that was crazy. So definitely play this. Very important. Meteor Burst. Every time I summon Pendulum Graph, summon Meteor Burst. Not really much to say about it. I don't think its effect came up once, but it was a free body, and I was happy it was a free body. 2 Intis. Double Intis is important because when you're going second, like I explained, you use both of them. Then we played Garura. You send this going first, always, and then we played Tri Brigade and the Herald. So these 5 targets, you need to play these 5 exactly. No, I wouldn't play Meowlong or whatever the other synchro is, bounces. These, I've tested it all, I promise. These are just the appropriate 5 to be playing. Yeah, definitely play this extra deck. I think this extra deck's perfect. Then for the side deck, we played 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. This card was really good. Came up one time in the main event that I bricked, and I opened just 3 copies of Solemn Judgment, and then like a hand trap and a ritual spell, and I was like, oh my god. And it saved me 2 turns. Like these 3 in the hand trap saved me 2 turns of being able to play. So the guy started with Summon Spirit. I was like, yep, I'm just gonna negate that now. And then he summons some Sour Lotus, activates the effect. I believe I Ash Blossom. He passes, and then we have like 2 Judgment. We top deck into like another hand trap. Nice. And then eventually the next turn we drew into something we could play like a low, and then just I want to say he had like an imperm for the low, and I used like the last Judgment and just played and won immediately. So that was cool. I thought I was losing that, but Judgment saved me. Judgment was just good. I mean, it negated some droplets. So like when you can't do the IP combo, it's nice to have Judgment. It's also nice to have Anti-Fun Floodgate Fragrance. Yay. Never drew this card and lost once. It's insane. You plays from deck. Not going to talk about Anti-Spell. It's broken. I promise. Play it. Trust. Called by the Grave. This card was good. This card is just like, its effect is really strong. And then also it stops Droll, Shifter, whatever you need it to stop the time. Card's insane. Play it. 100%. Then we played 1 Magnemite. This is one of the differences. I didn't play the Spell and Trap removal. This is what brought me up to 22 hand traps. I would suggest playing Magnemite because it searches Saphira. So you can afford to like take out a Saphira for it because it is literally just Saphira but also an interruption. And I think I drew it like twice between all the tournaments all weekend. And I definitely won both times I drew it. So crazy. Card's nuts. You can't believe it how good that card is. And then I played 3 copies of Nib. So I thought, sorry, I thought I actually had my 3rd Nib in here, but it's just my binder. Like I said, I've been testing out some other cards, and Nib was good. I only resolved it like once. I love that it's a big light monster and you can use it as a full tribute. So like a lot of people when they draw Nib in a hand trap, they let their opponent just play. I don't like to do that because I think that there are like certain things like if you're in a hand trap war, you want to stop them immediately because you don't want them to SP in like away your barrier because then that like takes away the advantage that I explained in the mirror or like in the hand trap war rather. So like oftentimes I'll just like try to stop them, hope they stop, and then if they don't, then like I hope Nib just like cleans it up enough. I thought Nib was good. I am going to try to. So I'm gonna test. I'm gonna start testing chummies. I am not going to tell you that I think chummy's better because I'm not sure. I have tested it a little bit, but not enough to be definitive. I think chummy might be good because I play a lot of hand traps at trade, but only time will really tell that. But Nib is a big light, and when you're playing as many hand traps as I am, it's a good card. So that was that spot. Bell, underrated hand trap of the year. Nobody else is high on Bell, but I've stayed high on Bell. I thought that like Bell being able to like stop Flamebird sometimes is really good. It also just like trades with Wanted. So if you could pass them and they aren't playing, and then they activate Wanted, like we're belling that immediately because that's their way to play, and they're just gonna pass if they don't resolve it, right? So Bell trades with that. Bell also came up that my opponent like resolved an OSS, and then I had a Bell in my hand. I play a little bit on my turn. They go to their turn, and they have like too few ways to play, but one of them's OSS. They OSS to shuffle back and search, and then I Bell that. So that came up a few times, and that was really good. You could also Bell Sequentia. I Bell the Called by the Grave, which is funny. You could Bell Yama. If the Bell deck starts with the field spell, they pop, they try to summon, you can just Bell that. I Bell the Grave Squirmer as well. There's a lot of Bell targets in that. It's very good against Branded, because even if they have the Branded Lost and they thrust into the trap card, you could Bell that. You could Bell Branded in red. You could Bell Nadir Servant, which is a card that one of the branded decks actually ironically beat me, was playing. Didn't have Bell, but like for it. I didn't draw Bell, but would have liked to. Yeah, I think Bell's just an incredible card right now. Bell is just like superb. It's super good. It's like another copy of Ash against the Runic deck, which can just like completely shut down the pace. And then it's also like Insane in the Mirror, which I did play one of in the main event. Beat it obviously. Bell the Saphira, Bell the pre-prep, pretty good. Bell was just like a great card against Labs, obviously an Egyptian god card. And then I played Droll. Droll's last card. So Droll was just. There were times where I played against, like, oftentimes it's not going to pass Snake Eye, but it will hinder their turn quite a bit. And I played against Snake Eye, and I did pass and beat them. Like, I did have one start with Fiendsmith Engraver, Droll, pass. I did have one start with Bonfire, Droll, pass. So, like, I did win, like, just 2 games that, like, I just, like, Drolled, they passed, I played and won. So, like, I think that there's value to that. I also think it's the best card against the U-Bell deck. And I swear to God, this card is like Maxi going first against like quite a few matchups. Like this card, when you set up a board and then you also have Droll that they have to deal with, like decks have to play differently into like hand traps going first rather than going second into boards. And usually they have to play like way harder into Droll into boards. So Droll was really good, man. Droll was a superstar this weekend. So I would highly suggest playing it. I appreciate you guys for all tuning in to another long profile. I really appreciate everybody's support. I appreciate all of the love and support and great, amazing comments that I got on the last video. It was truly incredible. Yeah, I'm really super excited to start like making consistent content. I wanted to make sure I was feeling better because I want to stick to posting videos every other day. And yeah, giving you guys the goo with the Voiceless deck. Giving you guys my opinions on the format. I play every single day. Like I said, I double regional last weekend. I played 4 tournaments the weekend before. Flew to Texas from Buffalo. I play consistently. I have multiple ICF stops. Countless. I mean, I'm not even going to talk about regionals, so I don't count. Like hundreds of regional tops probably. Yeah, you know, I'd love to give you guys my opinion on the format. Let me know what kind of videos you guys would like to see moving forward. And thank you guys again so much. I really appreciate everybody.